Hey folks, neophytes, Pythonistas, Pythoneers. How are you guys doing? I hope you all doing well. Of course, after watching my video, you should do very well. Just kidding, guys. Enough. Basically, let's begin our game. So before we jump into the Python learning, I would like I would like to ask you a simple question. What is an object? That's it. What is an object? So just take some time and get back to me on comment section. I would love to hear your answers. Fine. So I'll just define as per my understanding what is an object. An object is defined based on two parameters. It is anything which has a state and behavior is known as an object. So by and large, everything around is an object. Similarly, everything in Python is an object. That's why we Pythonistas say Python is all about objects, and objects only. So before understanding what is object intuitively, you should also know class. At least a generic understanding of class is very much important to understand Python. So generic class definition is it is an abstract segmentation. It is not a concrete, it is not a real, it is an abstract segmentation of objects. And an object is a concrete thing that actually exists. I'll make it simple. So for example, human, animal, programming languages, spoken languages, metals, and so forth and so on. So these are all classes. Human is a class, and similarly animal is a class. These are all classes. So whereas if you want to make an object, for example, we'll take a class of human and if you name that person as Krishna and give some attributes like height 5 feet, weight 50 kg, color brown color, hair black, hands 2, legs 2, then it became an object. The human object, the name of that human object is called Krishna, is an object. So similarly, the object has certain attributes. The Krishna is an object, human object. He has a certain attributes. Now when you have certain attributes, obviously you can do something because you have hands, you have legs, you can do something. So if you are able to do something with these attributes, those are all called behaviors or methods. So here he can actually run, jump, speak, throw, punch, force. So these are all the methods or attributes. So similarly, if we take another example, so book is a class, and out of which a textbook or a Python textbook is an object. So what this Python textbook consists of certain length, certain breadth, and certain width, and certain color, and certain type of information in it. So these are all attributes of it. Whereas the behaviors of what all you can do with that book, these are all methods. These are all behavior of this object. So now this is the analogy of nature, how everything is in nature is an object. Similarly, if you take it, if you take one example in programming language, so for example, if we take class, if we take list, so a list is a class in Python. By and large, everybody might have known that a list is a class. But when you define or when you assign a name to the list and give certain objects inside that, for example, x is equals to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 9, so then the class list will become an object. Then that x is called a list object. So what are the attributes of that list? Whatever things that you have entered inside the brackets, inside the square brackets, are known as attributes, and whatever you can do with these attributes are known as the methods. Those are append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse, sort. These are example of an object. So in this way, everything in Python is an object. If you go a little deeper, it is a class. You will have a classes, and then when you define your own attributes, when you give certain attributes, it's like making somebody. So you make, when a man and woman mates, they make a new object. In which class it comes? It comes under the human class, but they make new object. They name that new object with certain name, Krishna, Shiva, and something like that. They name it with a name. They name him, and then it became a new object. Similarly, you take classes, that's list, dictionary, and something, and then you enter your own attributes. Then it will become a new object, and you do some operations on that. That's called methods. This is all about the objects. It's that simple. And so now we'll take the textbook definitions of it. Attribute and method, you just read it. So basically, a value associated with an object which is referenced by name using dotted expression. That's how we actually use this. And then when it comes to method, the function which is defined inside the class. That's what I'm talking, inside the class. That means that's where you're making a class. So similarly, when a man and woman, they make a new man in a laboratory. Similarly, you make a new attributes and new methods while defining the classes. That is advanced topic, but what you have to understand for now is what is an object. It's that simple. You have to understand it in a simplest way. So now I think you got the crux of what object is. Now what we look is what we are going to learn in this course actually. See, if we see the Python in totality, this is all about, it consists of majorly, of course there are a lot of extensions and advanced topics that are keep on building on top of it, but primarily, fundamentally, these are the building blocks of Python. So these are the 7 modules. If you are able to understand well, so you can basically master the Python. You can do whatever tasks that you want to do. So that's the reason I have put these most important modules into a single course, so that you can understand very well. So we will begin with hardware architecture. So here we'll speak about hardware, RAM, ROM, processor. How does that work in a simplest way, not in depth, but the amount which we need to learn. So that much way we're going to learn. So and then transistors, and the most important thing, how your hardware communicates with your software, and then Python file types and bytecode, and then machine code. So, and the second thing, the most important module is, so here where the actual Python starts. So we have discussed Python is all about an object, because whatever you type and write inside it, it is fundamentally it is an object. So that's the reason. So we will look into the core object types or data types. So these are most important. Once you master over these object types, rest all fall in place. It would be very easy to handle the Python. So that's why the more emphasis is put on Python core data types. So basically we will look into each and every Python core type. Starts from numeric literals, int floats, strings, lists, dictionaries, tuples, files, sets, and booleans. We will look into the each. And then we will enter into the third module. This is statements and syntax. As thus far we have seen object Python core data types or Python core objects. Now, how do you put into implementation? For that you need a grammar. For that you need a syntax. For that you are able to write, you are able to use those objects. So how will you put in the actual scenario? For that you need to learn the grammar of that statement, how to write that statement. So we will look into the statements, assignments, expressions, and then basically syntax, rules, and then for loop, while loop, and most important keywords that we use in while and for loops: break, continue, pass, and loop else. And to work to make these while and for loops iterable, so what actual functions which are working behind the scene, those are iterations and comprehensions, and then map, zip, and filter iterators. These are the things we are going to look in statements and syntax module. Then we will enter into the function module 4, that's functions. So where, see, you have seen what is the core object type, and in next module you got to know how to write it as a statement. So now what you will do is by using these two statements and then object types, how to write a function. So and we'll write functions, and then we'll discuss about the polymorphism and scopes, the very important topic which is very much neglected outside, but it's very important topic, scopes, and then arguments. Then we will enter into the modules topic. So here, after getting to know object type, statement, and writing the function, so you have to make it into a bigger aspect. That's where the module comes. You write a module. So how we create a module and how do we package it? When you give import statement, how does that import, how does that search for your module? Everything we'll discuss in this modules topic. And then the most important and very most important topic, and then very, what we call it, it's, but the thing is the classes and group is very important topic, but when it comes to the YouTube videos, and I have seen, but nowhere it is actually explained well. They haven't put very well. So that's the reason I put more effort on this module to give a clear picture and to give intuitive learning. Maybe this module takes more time, but it's worth exploring it. So basically here we'll look into the overall, what's OOP, and why we use that, what's exactly a class, and how do we make an object, and what are inheritances, and then other specific methods that are there in classes, and then what is operator overloading, and a complete realistic example. We will take complete realistic example, and we will navigate it through the realistic example. That's the end of the classes and OOP. And finally, what left is exceptions and tools. So here, after mastering one by one, so finally we will enter into the exceptions and tools, because once you got to know everything, obviously once you put everything in one place, then once you execute, you might face some errors, you might face some exceptions, then you should know how to handle those exceptions too. That's the reason I put this module at the end, so that once you master all those things, then you can actually work with exceptions and tools. So this is all about our content. This is how our course will be navigated. So it's a holistic approach, it's a wholesome approach. You're going to get a lot from it. Thanks for watching it, and keep watching and enjoy.